How many of you fellow Toastmasters would like to guarantee that your very next speech will be a positively memorable experience for both you and your audience? Well then, I'm truly excited about having the opportunity to share with you a 3-step program on how to give a knockout speech every single time. I choose to refer to these steps as the 3 P's of quality speech giving: preparation, practice, and performance. The first P is preparation. Most speeches start out from a single interesting idea or topic. Once you've decided on your topic, the next item on your agenda should be to come up with an opening that will get your audience's attention. This can be accomplished in many ways. To give you a few examples, this can be accomplished by the use of a humorous story or a joke in your opening, or by the use of a question. Next, it's wise to limit the body of your speech to 3 main ideas. By doing this, it's much easier to maintain a logical flow of ideas throughout your speech. The final step, under the first P, preparation, is to come up with a conclusion or a closing which does a nice job of wrapping up your speech. In summarizing, the first P, preparation, is the intellectual exercise of actually putting your pen to paper and writing your speech. And of course, this includes the introduction, body, and conclusion. The first P, preparation, takes up roughly 20% of your total speech giving time and energy. On to the second P, which is practice. I'm sure all of you have heard the saying over and over again that practice makes perfect. In my opinion, nothing could be more true. Practice starts with reading your written speech out loud for the very first time. Now, of course, this should lend itself to some editing. There are really 2 reasons to edit your speech. The first is to make sure your time is where it's supposed to be. For example, if you're allotted 7 minutes to speak, and you now find yourself with 10 minutes of written material in front of you, something's got to go. The other reason to edit your speech is to make it just right for you. Sometimes you'll write what you think is a perfect sentence on paper, but then when you go to read it out loud, it's either not as phonetically pleasing as you thought it would be, or it's just not natural for who you are as a speaker. Now is the time to make that change as well. The next step, under the second P, practice, is to memorize both your opening and your closing. In fact, you should know your opening and your closing so well that you should be able to recite them forwards, backwards, sideways, and even in your sleep. Once you've perfected your opening and your closing, then it's time to once again practice your whole speech in its entirety. A good rule of thumb that I've found invaluable over the years is to allow yourself 2 weeks to practice your speech. So for 10 to 14 days, practice your speech once in the morning and once in the evening every single day. And if you can follow this principle, fellow Toastmasters, using notes will truly become a thing of the past. Other ideas to consider under the second P, practice, are to practice in front of a mirror. Or find yourself a captive audience, like a dog, a cat, or a small baby. If none of those are available at your household, well, although it may seem a bit silly, it's okay to put a few stuffed animals out and practice in front of them. Trust me, it works. Any of the scenarios that I just gave you will allow you to perfect your delivery, voice control, gestures, body language, and eye contact as you continue to practice. The ancient Chinese had a saying, "We woo we," which translated into English literally means doing, not doing. The philosophy of we woo we goes on to state that the doer knows the task at hand so incredibly well that he's able to accomplish the task without any effort at all from his conscious mind. It just simply flows from him. The singer becomes the song. The dancer becomes the dance. And in our case, fellow Toastmasters, the speaker becomes the speech. Or in other words, the speaker becomes one with the speech. Therefore, the second P, practice, can best be summarized in such a way that you should practice over a 10 to 14 day period to such an extent that your speech just simply flows from your lips without any effort whatsoever on the part of your conscious mind. Wee-woo-wee, fellow Toastmasters. And of course, the second P, practice, should take up a good 70 to 75% of your total speech-giving time and energy expenditures. Last, but certainly not least, is our third and final P, performance. Now, fellow Toastmasters, if you put in the appropriate time and effort on the second P, practice, the third P, performance, or actually delivering your speech to your intended audience, is really the easy part, taking up as little as 5 to 10% of your total speech-giving time and energy. Now, if this is a normal Toastmasters Club speech, there's really not much more to add under the third P, performance. Simply stroll to the lectern and wow us with your quality speech. If, on the other hand, you're giving your speech in an unfamiliar environment, such as at a division or area contest, or possibly for a service organization or some other group outside of your club, you have an unfamiliar environment you have to deal with. If that's the case, I would recommend that you show up plenty early for your speaking engagement. This will give you plenty of time to survey the situation, and this is going to help control nervousness during your performance. It is my hope, fellow Toastmasters, that the 3 P's of quality speech giving, preparation, practice, and performance, will help to make all of your future speeches into positively memorable experiences, both in Toastmasters and beyond.